Welcome back to TTWYK, Tell Them What You Know, the podcast where experienced leaders share what's actually in their head, the real stories, the hard lessons, the stuff that doesn't normally make their LinkedIn post. Today's episode is the problem with high performance. My guest, Christoph Karl Knoll, helps sales leaders and their teams perform at the highest level without it costing them everything. The question he keeps asking is this: are you actually performing or are you just surviving at pace? I'm Stephen Boyle. This is TTWYK. Chris, great to see you. How are you today?
Thank you, Stefan. It's a beautiful day here in Barcelona. Doing well, man. Can't complain.
Fantastic. Well, let's dive straight in, really. What I'd like to know, Chris, is really a bit of your background about where you started in your career, what you planned then as your potential career and how that sort of evolved, really. So maybe start today. Tell people what you do today, then let's go back to the very beginning. That'd be a good place to go.
That's a good question, actually. What I'm doing, this question always, it haunts me a little bit, to be honest, because at the end of the day, I just help people to understand life a little bit better, right? So because in my perspective and in my experience from all my years in corporate and startups environments, we all deserve better. Because for me, everything what we see out there, it's kind of a golden cage we have created ourselves. And within this 20 years, I have discovered what working productively, but also efficiently actually means. And it means to build yourself time, energy, and freedom. So, and this is a little misconception I see in the world. And this is why just a couple of years ago, I decided to change everything and become let's say, a mental fitness coach, which I consider myself to be. And today I help people in organizations, especially sales reps and their leaders, to turn, let's say, silent stress, because at the end of the day, being a sales rep or being in sales, I know how it is.
Not easy.
No, not at all. And we need to consider that the pressure those people have, and I had in the past, is quite a lot. But this kind of silent stress we are building up over time to convert that into sustainable performance. Because we all have the potential to do that. And people, especially those people, need to understand, or at least it would be beneficial for them to understand, that not doing less, but doing the work from a different kind of state, from an inner state, would be better for their own performance. And this is actually the work I do. And I prefer to do that with mental energy management, because everything we do is based on our energy. And we need to consider that our brain uses 20% of our entire body energy every day. And with that in mind, yeah, I think it's on the hand. It's clear that from where we have to work.
So it sounds like to me, to get to where you are today, you've had to draw on a lot of experience here. You don't suddenly start out doing what you're doing.
No.
This takes years of life, in lived experience, as they say. So let's now jump back a bit to how you started your career. You know, what was your first job?
My first job, I studied graphic design or media design, actually.
Yes.
There was unfortunately a point when I stopped studying. It was 2008. We had a financial crisis. You might remember that that moment.
Yeah.
So, and it lasted until 2009. So for me, back in Berlin at these days, it was very, very heavy to find a job. So the first thing I did, I became a freelancer, straight from university into freelancing.
Wow.
And I was working for music labels, doing their covers for CDs. You remember CDs, perhaps?
I love you.
And for the magazines and stuff like this. And I also used to work in print shops. So, I mean, there was not much work out there at this time. And then I reached, I think, 2009 first corporate job. Oh, no, 2010, it was my first corporate job. And I became a team lead. And then 2011, I became a head of design in another company. So I climbed the ladder quite quickly. But unfortunately, in this job, 10 months later, I hit the ceiling and my first burnout appeared. That was the first hit I received. And after that, it was actually quite funny that I became a sick note from the doctor. I had a lot of time. And finally, I could use this time to live my life again. So I was finally walking my dog again because really I had, I would say, 14 to 16 hours days in that job back in the days. And it was It was not funny. And yeah, I was walking my dog, started to walk the dogs of my friends. And then people reached out to me and asked me, are you a dog walker or a dog trainer? I said, no. And then for some reason, more and more people asked me. And I opened a dog walking and dog training business. So it was my second entrepreneur or solopreneur journey. I created an entire business out of it, got people in who helped me because there was a lot of demand at this time. And at the end of the days, I sold it, moved to the Netherlands, started over again.
Wow.
So, and in the Netherlands, the same game again. And this was my first time when I started to work in BPOs, in customer service. And because with my bachelor in graphic design, I couldn't do so much stuff in the Netherlands. And yeah, from there, I went into B2B, from B2C into B2B. I'm not sure if you know the brand Paper Jeans.
I've
It's
heard of it. Yeah.
from UK.
Yeah. I've heard of
So
it.
Paper Jeans London.
Yeah.
It's a fashion brand. I used to work for them in what's called order to cash management. So actually just you're taking orders, shipping out stuff, So anyway, after that, 3 years later, Netherlands, wet country. You probably can relate. UK is quite
Just a bit.
similar. And from there, I started actually my entire, let's say, transformation, because I started traveling here in Spain with my dog and on the bike, and we supported some project, social project, ecological project, traveled the entire coast from Catalonia in the north down to the south by bicycle. And that was actually the turning point for me when everything changed, because when you're completely by yourself, only with yourself, really, and you don't speak a language, I mean, this is a little bit divided because there's several points you need to consider. You're completely on yourself. You don't speak the language. You are, of course, limited by money because there's no other income stream if you haven't built any other before. But on the other hand, you have a lot of freedom. I mean, there's no one, I was not, at this time, I'm not sure if it was wrong or right, but I was not registered in Germany and was not registered in the Netherlands. So I was completely off the radar from everyone.
Really?
So this is completely, it's freedom. So I did that for 8 months. And at the end of the day, my dog got cancer. So I
Oh,
had to go back into corporate, came to Barcelona 8 years ago. 1 year later, he died. I got back into the system. And one day before my first job in a BPO over here again, I used to start working for Harley Davidson as a brand ambassador. So I started over again. I had a body collapse. So I collapsed on the floor of my bathroom at this time, one day before my first job. So actually it was a second burnout. So I went to all the doctors you can imagine to get checked, but I couldn't find anything. So, and at the end of the day, what is it when we reach burnout? It's misalignment. It's misalignment between what we actually want to do in our life, how we see ourselves, our inner belief system, and our actions. So, in this, I just discovered years later. So, let's say 3 to 5 years ago, when I started to read, to study, to make my certificates and stuff like this. And yeah, I used to work 4 years here in Barcelona, and but really in a calm way. Nothing else happened since then. And in 2022, I started to travel again, South America for 1 year with my partner. And over there, something again happened, a really, really impressive clarification for myself. And it was, I had a big problem with a bank here in Spain because someone stole my phone in Cartagena in Colombia. And so I needed to block all my cards and everything, but all my money was on one of the banks. The other bank was quite nice, actually, but this bank over here, they were a bit complicated. And I made a decision for myself that I don't let myself trigger anymore by external factors, because I think this is what most people do today in life. So we blame external factors, we make them responsible for our situation. And my decision was, this is my inner world. I will take care of my inner world. What happens out there is their problem. I don't care. But everyone I'm dealing with, the same like with you, I do it on my terms. And with no one else, on no other terms. If I agree, it's still on my terms. Even though you sent me the concept for today, how we more or less talk with each other, which is very freely. But anyway, I agree, so it's on my terms.
that because just because it's something I've put together, if it's not in alignment with what you're looking to do, if it is, it's still on your terms. And
Yeah.
that's a nice way of looking at things, actually.
Yeah, I think
So
so
you've
too.
had quite an unconventional path. Was that deliberate, or was it just how things worked out all the time? Did you decide, right, I need to get out of corporate world and working for someone and go and travel, and or was it just organic and just sort of happened, you fell into it?
That's funny. I was thinking about that quite a lot of times, because always when I look back, it seems for me that everything just fell into place. But honestly, when you're in this situation, it's like you're struggling a lot. It is always like this. Um, it was for me like, yes, sometimes it feels like, oh man, you're lucky, this and this happens to you. But at the end of the day, no, it does not. Because what all the researchers show is, when it comes to our subconsciousness, that we pre-decide when we talk with ourselves, we talk consciousness with our subconsciousness, because our thoughts, our daily thoughts are just make 50% just happen in our consciousness. Other 85% happen in our subconsciousness. So,
Absolutely.
and it means at the end of the day, how we talk with ourselves already pre-decides what we will do, how we act, and in which direction everything will go, even though we won't notice it consciously.
Yes.
So, but this is what I figured out later. So
So
everything comes how it comes at the end. So it happens how
absolutely.
it happens.
And I think people will be interested to hear this, because the way success and happiness and from a career perspective and
Mhm.
fulfillment is promotion, the materialism of, the financial gain, etc. And I'm guessing throughout your journey of, obviously, when you started out and then taking time out back in corporate, then freedom again, how did you, or has your definition of success career wise changed, and what did that look like, from when you started out to where you are today?
That's a really good question, and it's hard to answer as well,
Good.
because thanks. No, it's there's missing some background information perhaps, because the thing is, Stefan, I was never a human being that was made up for success. I was never looking to climb the ladder. I was
Or traditional definition, a traditional
yes,
definition of success.
absolutely not. So I never looked out for climbing the ladder, becoming head of department, director, VP, whatever. So I never was up for that. So until head, it was okay, thanks. Led to burnout, thanks, never again. But only because I didn't know how to manage myself back in the days. Nevertheless, I also, for you as a background information, I never had a good relationship with money. When I had money back in the days, I just spent it. So it's hard to admit, it's not nice, but I never learned how to manage money. Today it's a complete different thing, because I finally learned it and I'm happy with what I have. So, but for me, success in a traditional way, in a corporate way, is nothing what I was ever looking for. And therefore, I was not looking for, and I was just doing as it happened, new situation, adapt, new situation, adapt. So that was my entire life, until a couple of years ago, when I thought, no, actually, you should do something with your life. And the fun fact is, I'm not sure if you noticed, but just 3 weeks ago, perhaps I started in a different way. When I came back from South America, I became self-employed again. So it was already my third solopreneurship, just to fulfill the entire story when it comes to my career back in marketing. Because when I used to work here in Barcelona, I started to work on behalf of Google in marketing, and therefore I had experience in marketing, web marketing, search marketing, Google Ads, and so on. And I started back then already in Argentina, got self-employed here, worked nomad-wise in South America, came back, kept doing it. But then 2 years ago in 24, a friend of mine asked me, working for a big company in display marketing, to start working with her, because they had a role open for German market. So I said, yeah, why not? Because at these days I felt quite like a lone wolf, you know how it is in solopreneurship. So if you don't build a team, it's quite lonely. It can be quite lonely.
Very much so.
Yeah, so I used to work for them for 17 months now, and just 3 weeks ago, I went out again. So now I'm in my fourth, really 100% being a founder, solopreneurship. So it's my fourth time actually, but this time in coaching, this time in giving workshops and organization. So this time it's completely different because the setup is a complete different. There's a foundation.
So, being the fourth time, what have you learned from the other times you've done it that maybe you're applying and working in a different way now? Is there anything particular, or is it just a gentle evolution, or has there been things, I don't want to do that again, that didn't feel right, or that didn't work well, or didn't affected my work-life balance, or what has got you to where you are with this situation now?
I think it's two things. The connection I have made over time here, as well as that I have built within, because I treated my project, it was a project, like not really a side hustle even. I started that already last year in my 9 to 5, what I'm doing today. So and I built really a foundation which has not been there before. And I made the connection which served me today to not being alone. So, and I think these two things, when you have a solid foundation as well as the right people by your side, this is what will serve you forever.
I think that's interesting, because was there a moment when you look back at the other times in your career that you felt this isn't a good fit, this isn't right, I do need other people around me? Or as I said, is this something that when you relaunched, the business you're running now, did you just naturally felt that way? Or is there something that happened before that you say, I don't want that to happen again? Because what I'm referring to here also is, you've mentioned burnout a few times, obviously. And was there instances where it hit you like a ton of bricks, or are we talking now about things in your life that were slowly creeping up on you? That's what, I'm interested to know. Was there monumental changes that had a big impact, or is it just step by step this was going in the wrong direction?
Yes and no. Yes, many times I felt being led into the wrong direction, because actually most of the time and only 2 times not. And these 2 times is today, as well as when I opened this dog training and dog walking business. And this for one particular reason: alignment. It all comes down to alignment, I think. Because back in the days when I opened this business, it was something, I was always good with animals, especially dogs. I was very good training them. I was very good handling them, being with them. It felt natural.
Natural, yeah.
And today it's the same thing. So I feel that there's a connection between me and the people I work with, because I cannot work with everyone, but when it fits, it fits. And then it's naturally happening, and then it just feels right. But everything else, working in corporate, working in startups, working in marketing, as well as a graphic artist, it always was because of working for money. It was working, there was no why behind. Working with the dogs, working now with humans, there's always a why behind. Because I would like to make an impact. I would like to help people. I would like to help people better their lives, or make their lives better. So this is, I think, the misalignment, which I have felt back in the days, was always the driver that let me change my professions as well as the companies quite often.
I mean, that's a great life lesson about who you have in your life, but also
Yeah.
from a business perspective as well. There's so many people that make the mistake that they want to work with, everyone.
Yeah, I know.
And it's even back on, thinking about LinkedIn, writing your posts to appeal to everyone. I don't want to be too contentious. I don't want to have too much of an opinion. I don't want
Yeah.
to divide the room in case I upset someone. For me, I don't think you go out of your way to upset people at all,
No,
but
no.
you also have to make sure you understand who you're working with, or who you're living with, or who you're socializing with, to make sure you are aligned. Because I often have this with people, with clients of mine, for example, when you write on LinkedIn and you understand your ideal customer profile, and
Mhm.
someone says, oh, if I write that, I'm not sure everyone will understand that, because it's sort of terminology, or it's about a situation that's relevant to you and to your customer. And they worry about appealing that post to everyone. And it's like, no, don't worry about everyone. If 90% of people reading it don't get it, they'll scroll by. But 10% of people who read it will go, I get that.
Yeah,
That feels like it's been written for me.
yeah.
And that's so relevant, isn't it? From, I think, what you've described, that alignment thing is, you've applied it to your life generally, I think, but your business particularly. And I think, don't you think a lot of people miss that point?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I mean, I have missed that point as well when I started
We
on
all do.
LinkedIn. I was writing for everyone. So, but since I have figured out my ICP and really I'm niching down more and more and more over time,
Good.
and now I'm not only serving, in the past it was leaders and teams in their teams. Now it's sales leaders and their teams because I feel really, I come from commercial background. So, and I think I have the best background knowledge in order to serve them. So, and that's why if you put certain terminologies within your post, of course you don't serve everyone, but that's the point. You filter already out for who this post is. If I write about burnout, of course, many people will read it, but of course, it's still not for everyone if I connect it with people in sales. So yes, we need these filters because these filters build the alignment to who we want to serve at the end of the day. Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally agree.
Now, um, think about your career and your experiences. Is there a moment where you had a sort of a not a awakening as such, but a moment saying, this is not right for me, and actually this is what I want to do. Did that happen to you, or again was it a slow process over a period of time?
Both, I think, both. It was definitely a process, and I'm
Uh,
very happy about it because what I have noticed is many people have this aha moment and they start transforming everything from one moment to another, and it's rarely working.
yeah.
So from my point of view, especially for your mental well-being, it's better when it's a slow process. But I also had these moments because I never spoke publicly about it, but we know each other, and yes, now everyone will listen to it. 1.5, 2 years ago, a friend told me, Chris, I have sat with this and this friends together a couple of weeks ago, and they talked about you. And I was like, what? Why are they talking about me? Because I have not been there. And they said, yeah, they were talking about her and her father, their and their sister, blah, 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 and so on, because you were speaking with them, and it seems you have influenced them somehow in a weird way. So they were stopping or stop doing things they have done before, and they were starting things they have never started before. So one sister, for example, of a friend of mine, I have had a long conversation with. She moved with their boyfriend to Bali for 2 years. So, and they had a heck of a life right over there. So, and a lot of experience just because of a talk with me. So, and it was for me this kind of situation where I thought, oh, wow, okay, there are people, friends of mine, speaking about me in rooms. You know this sentence, this lovely sentence, the way people speak about you in rooms you're not in is how you're getting perceived. It made me somehow proud, but also showed me that there is something that seems to be natural for me, speaking with others and helping them to these little aha moments or to these little transformations that lead to other transformations. And this
Wow.
was for me a very, very big moment when this friend talked to me and spoke about this situation he has been in, I have not been in. And I mean, this was this moment where I have decided that I want to do what I do today.
That's powerful, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Not, I mean, a cold business perspective, that's a confirmation that what you're doing is beneficial to people, and that's
Yeah.
good. More importantly, it's, I can imagine, an amazing feeling to have impact in a positive way, that someone has said, "I learnt this from someone," or I heard
Yeah.
someone say this," or "I read what they wrote and I've applied it and it's helped me," and I've told someone else about that
Yeah.
and it's helped them, and
Yeah.
now they're telling
Ripple
telling
effect.
you.
The ripple effect.
Ripple
Absolutely.
effect.
Yeah, no, it makes me goosebumps all the time. Yeah, yeah,
It is
yeah,
it is powerful.
yeah,
And again, going back to sort of a bit more of a question about success, that's sort of for me, having a positive impact on someone. It could be anything, couldn't it? It could be, you could sell a car to someone and
yeah,
it feels like, they've worked for years to buy the car of their dreams, whatever level that is. It doesn't have to be a supercar. It could be you know, a conventional, hatchback, but they've always wanted one, and
yeah.
it's first car that they've saved up or whatever it is, and they bought it. And you watch that person drive out with a big smile on their face. Or it could be someone that has been coached by you that's told someone else. It's all levels of customer satisfaction and having an impact on people that I think is makes it worthwhile.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's for me exactly this point. For me, making an impact on other people's lives and show them that there's another way of living, that just makes me happy. And I mean, this confirms my entire why and why I see myself here on this planet. So meaning I have found my purpose, kind of.
I mean, I
And
guess when you think about what you're doing now with sales teams, of course, the ultimate goal is to make those people more effective at selling, to sell more stuff. It's a business, but they
yes,
need to have the right mindset and the
yes,
right clarity and
yes.
the right tools to be able to cope that enable them to live and work more effectively, don't they? Ultimately, business is business and people are paid to do a job. And if they're salespeople, they've got to sell stuff.
Yeah.
But if there's a lot going on up there that is, making that harder, that's
It's a mindset question. It's absolutely a mindset question. The thing is, what people therefore have to keep in mind is the way we work is also the way we live. So that means everything we know today in business, structures, systems, organization, is something we once got out from real life. I mean, from personal life. We just transformed it into business.
yeah, that's so
So, and
true.
vice versa. So it means everything what I can coach or teach them, the tools I can give them, they can use for becoming more efficient, reaching their targets, getting their bonus. I mean, this is the end goal for every sales rep, right?
Yeah,
Getting a bonus at the end of the quarter or the end of the year, whatever. So
totally.
having more money in the pockets. I mean, this tools, mechanisms, methods, and knowledge they can use for their own life as well. So it means it's completely transformable to all aspects of life.
So if we sort of jump back to sort of 2012 burnout, do you think you knew this, but you weren't applying it? Or I always think there's always a positive in every situation, even the darkest moments in life, you think, there's always, a different way of looking at things and a lesson to be learned. Do you think burning out enabled you to have the tools to do what you do today? Or do you think you had those tools but you just weren't using them?
I think we all have these tools. We just are not aware about them. That's the
And were
point.
you aware before then, your
No,
burnout? No.
no, absolutely not. No,
Cool.
really, this burnout, it just hit me when my CEO screamed the fifth time that day to me, and our marketing manager just asked me to leave the room, and I heard them yelling. It was like, okay, I was shaking all over the body, went to the balcony, switched between my office and the balcony every 10 minutes because I didn't know where to be. Not even I could grab any thought at this time, and this for days. I mean, this was for me. It came completely without any notice, actually. So, I mean, this was like the tip of the iceberg.
Can you feel that feeling now if you
Yes,
think back?
just thinking back, yes, I feel
How
it,
does it make
and
you feel?
my hands are already like, yeah. Your nervous system won't forget that.
No.
Believe me, no. It will come over it, but it never will forget it.
Can you use that feeling when we all have times in business where people promise things or clients leave or they don't pay or, all the issues in business. And it's all, again, about perspective.
Yeah.
Someone saying, "Oh, I'm not going ahead. I'm going with someone else." Okay, it's disappointing,
Yeah.
but can you get perspective by getting yourself back in that how you felt in 2012? Having a meltdown. Just go. At least I don't feel like that. I've got the tools to deal with these now, these stresses and these hurdles that we all go through. You think that's what it's given you? It's enlightened elements in your mind that can actually deal with hurdles and stresses better.
I mean, it was a big moment in my life, but as long as I don't talk about it, it never
No.
comes back into my mind. It never
Right.
comes back. No. No,
Yeah.
the thing is, when I was studying, for example, I studied, of course, nervous system response and everything. So, and of course, in this moment, I remember what happened. So, because I did not get triggered, but for some reason, it was like, yeah, okay, what I'm reading right now, what I'm learning right now reminded me of what happened to me back then. But over the years, I got the tools. I mean, the habits I have built, the mental energy and stress management tools I have made my own. Those are serving me today in order. For example, last week, I had someone in coaching who didn't want to retain. No worries. A no is a no, but perhaps there's a time when you come back. And the same is when I'm writing with people and having them on a discovery call or whatever, and there's coming a no, then it's a no. If there's any stressful situation happening right now, the tools I have and the foundation I have built for myself means my morning routine, my meditation sessions, after my evening visualization, and everything what I'm doing is serving me so well that I don't get into this state anymore. So I don't remember, or I don't need to remember what happens back in 2012.
Nice,
No.
like that. Let's move on to high performance.
Okay.
Is the perception of what high performance is a stereotypical perception when you start working with your clients? And is there something you push back on that to say this is what true high performance really is?
There's a question, what is the definition of high performance?
What's your definition?
My definition of high performance, oh, man, another good question. I think high performance is very individual and subjective. So therefore, I cannot really answer you this question. Is your high performance connected to KPIs? Is high performance connected to your mental well-being or your physical well-being? Because some people, like athletes, need a physical well-being, right, in order to perform high. So this is a big question. Half the world probably might have given it a thought already. I'm not sure about that. For me personally, high performance is when you reach your goals in a certain amount of time without sacrificing yourself.
Nice. I love that.
I mean, this is high performance but people can, for example, I've posted something on LinkedIn today, which fits exactly in this question. It's people those days have been trained to perform on a level to sacrifice themselves, without taking a rest, without thinking that, okay, if I now step back a little bit and let everything around me just happen to see what will happen, and then I adapt on that. No, people are just, first of all, reacting and pushing things, and therefore putting more and more pressure on themselves. And this, in my opinion, is no high performance. But this is what I see all over the world, that people are acting this way. But this is nothing they have done actively to themselves. This is something, in my opinion, that happened to them, and they just adapted their nervous system towards, and their thinking, their belief system, their identity towards that kind of performance.
Do you think businesses or business leaders are more aware of these issues now and addressing them and hiring people like you? Or do you think this is still a tiny percentage of people who are aware of this?
That's a very good question. The people who experience burnout are probably aware of this. Organizations, I'm not 100% sure about it, because an organization is not a single person, and there are a lot of different people involved in decision making and leadership. And the thing is, mental well-being still is not, or mental health in general, is still not a topic, in my experience, which addressed at a level that it should be addressed. That every May companies are doing their mental health month campaign. I know, meanwhile, there are a lot of companies who are having mental health systems in place. But from my point of view, also the education is a little bit missing. Yeah. For example, I was a mentor in my last 9 to 5, in my last corporate job. And I gave also some workshops on mental energy management, breath work, and stuff like this. And yes, we had mental health advocates. But from what I know, there are not so many people using them and opening themselves up to say out loud, look, because we need to create a safe space first, right? So that people are opening up. And this is a point I think it's missing in 99% of the company.
Do you think there's a box ticking exercise to say, oh, we need to talk about mental health or whatever the important subject of the day is, to say, oh, we need to be seen to be protecting our employees, our team, our leaders with their mental health, but really it's talk and there's little actual implementation of these things.
Preserving your image, external and internal. It's definitely a box which needs to be ticked. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, hey, we are doing something. We are
Yeah.
a best place to work 2026.
Yeah.
I mean,
You work there and it isn't.
not in my experience. And I think many people can relate. So even though people get the label, we are best place to work, whatever year, there are still things that can be optimized. I mean, I'm living now here in Barcelona. I, of course, have no idea how it's in entire Catalonia in Spain. I have no idea how it's back now in Germany or in the Netherlands. I definitely have no idea how it is in UK. The only thing what I know about your country is that the NHS is up here. That's the only thing what I read when I go into social media from time to time, but that's it. So I cannot say really. But many companies, from my point of view, miss the point to make it real and to involve HR, especially in all of that. For me, HR still is like a firefighter system instead of a part of the table, sitting at the table to make the right decision. So everyone is thriving and not just surviving.
So should companies be more proactive in eliminating, or not eliminating, that's impossible, but minimizing the impact of burnout and doing preventative rather than more reactionary work? It's all very well someone's called in sick, they've had whatever situation happened to them, then then you're aware. But should they be doing more preventative measures to look after their teams?
What do you think?
Yes, it's what that looks
For
like.
me, it's a clear yes.
Yes,
Of
because
course.
I think I absolutely think it should be on the agenda. It's how, I guess the problem is, especially maybe with men, there's some bravado. And if someone said, right, who wants to raise their hand if they're struggling?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we men tend to exactly doing this.
Yeah,
We don't like to open up. I mean, I generalize, of course,
of course,
a
yeah.
lot here.
But
So
it's generalization, but it's still true.
yes, no. We men, especially we men, need a safer place in order to open up than perhaps, only perhaps, women. Because I know from my own experience that the women I'm surrounded by or surrounded with, they're easier to open up to sharing their emotions, how they're feeling, and stuff like this. So for us men, it's heavy. It's heavy,
Yeah.
and I think yes, companies. But I wouldn't make it up only on the leadership level, like this, let's say the C level, who's taking all the decision for the rest of the company, right? I wouldn't only make it up to them, because at the end of the day, it's also up to the teams and especially the team leader to create these spaces.
I
So
agree.
if you're not able to create this kind of space for your own team, how to expect that they're thriving, how to expect that they're helping you to reach your goals. So it should be in your own interest as a leader, as a team lead, as a manager, middle manager, whoever you are, to create this space for everyone you're working.
So you do talk a lot about sort of neuroscience-based coaching.
Mm-hmm.
How can you explain that to the layman? What does that look like in real terms?
Neuroscience coaching. No, I mean, it's neuroscience-based coaching.
Yes.
It means, for example, let's take NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Perhaps you have heard about it.
Yep.
It's actually neuroscience and psychology in practical use. So it means that my entire coaching is influenced by all these learnings. So it means when I'm coach someone, I use this knowledge in order to explain them, like I would explain something my grandmother or 5-year-olds, to understand what is actually happening with them.
Okay.
So this
So
is actually the point
how do you start with a new client? What does that look like?
with a new client.
Yeah.
You mean the onboarding part, or when I reach out?
Yeah. So do you have to explain, like, the neuroscience-based coaching? Do you have to explain what that is, or
No,
you don't? No.
no, not at all. I don't explain what it is at all. Now, the thing is, when I start with a client, I do an audit with them, like a needs assessment we are doing in business, right? When new project is coming, okay, what do we need? Here
Yeah.
it's an audit. It's not a need assessment. It's a what is assessment. So what is their current state? What are the challenges they face? Where they want to go? And then based on that, I have my coaching program, which has 3 pillars. And then we're going through all these 3 pillars based on their individual situation. And while the coaching itself, I explain them with the words they understand, what happens with them, why that is, where that comes from, what it leads to, and how we can stop that. or transform it into a better outcome. So this is actually the angle I take it from.
And is this a program? Is it sort of like a 12-week program, or is it an ongoing coaching model? Or
It's an 8 weeks program.
okay,
The first part is about about habit breaking and habit building,
yeah,
because with our habits, growth unfolds everything, in my opinion. And it starts already the moment we wake up every morning, and it ends the moment we go to bed. So our habits are the foundation for everything. Then that's the first thing. The second part is about the stress management as well as mental energy management frameworks and tools, so that the coach is understanding why throughout the day they're performing, how they're performing, what triggers them, where comes whatever challenge from, and how they can tackle those challenges or face them in a calm way and so on. So there are a lot of different things, but it always, like I said, depends on their individual situation. And the last part is a mix of self-paced learning around self-leadership. So I give them, they get my online course, because I have an online course, which I haven't made so public yet, but perhaps I should do. But bear with me, I'm just 3 weeks out of my 9 to 5. Now I have time to organize myself. And they also get my ebook, and we still have our coaching sessions, but it will be more self-paced. And even after this 8 weeks, I will be there for them via WhatsApp, via email, and we won't have this one-to-one sessions anymore, the weekly ones, because there are 8 sessions in total, right? But whatever question they arise, I will be there for them and answering them. And if they need to hop on a call with me, I'm there for them as well. So because it's a transformation, it's a process, and you cannot set a begin and a stop date. But after 8 weeks or 2 months, there's definitely a foundation set they can build up on.
so what does that transformation look like ideally? Is there a typical description of how you describe someone's pre-working with you to afterwards, to after 8 weeks? Or
Now, look, I got a very, very nice recommendation today from my last coachee, and I would like
fantastic.
to read it, because this was actually, I have also, or had, perhaps I install it again, short 2 weeks program, which of course is less pricey. But at the end of the day, I want to show people that even after 2 weeks, you can make a lot of progress. So, and I just would like to read it to you, so in order to understand what happens. So this guy, he's a customer success manager here in Barcelona, and he wrote, "I have been lucky enough to meet Chris. In less than 2 weeks, he helped me reduce my anxiety in around 60% and made me shift from fight or flight to a creative, relaxed, conscious state. I cannot do other thing that then fully recommend him." And they're coming a couple of more sentences, but I think you get the point. So
Nice.
it depends on the situation, but this was just about 2 weeks, because this human being, he was really trying to do everything at once. So it means social life, sports, his work, being a manager, being a good manager, applying new frameworks, everything together. And he's also sort of creating a coaching business on the side.
Oh,
And
okay.
this all at once, but in a very unsorted and very reactive way. So, and we have calmed down together in this 2 weeks that he is now operating from a complete different state. And this is what we all need in order to start something. Because when our focus is split all the time, energy is drained in every direction, and we cannot build something that feels whole, that's fulfilled, and that's aligned. Because I'm not sure who was it, where your attention goes, your focus, no, where your focus goes, your attention flows, or your energy flows. And this is something, we always need to keep in mind. And for him, now he can build something that's worth building on,
And they do say the most successful people, one of their most powerful abilities is focus. It doesn't have to be 12 hours a day, but if you can do 2 hours ultra focused work and be super productive, that's better than turning up to an office and sort of going through the motions for 8 hours
Yeah.
and not really doing that much.
Yeah.
It's hyper focus is so, and it's harder than ever these days, Chris, because we've all got, devices and, multiple platforms, and how's that post doing? And have I had any DMs? And, I better check this, or what's this person writing about? And I'm super guilty of that all the time,
Distractions are everywhere. Absolutely.
I know there are apps and things I probably ought to look at doing where you can turn off emails and notifications and just get the reason I love doing this is that everything else is off. We are just,
Yes.
in
Yes.
this, you know, this little room together, not literally, but, on this call together. And it's all where, the only focus. And that's,
Yeah.
one
I
of
have
them.
closed everything as well. So, I mean, my phone is anyway always on silent. I
Yes.
don't get anything except of I take my phone in my hand, and this is the thing. I've trained myself the way that I don't need to touch my phone in order to live, you know.
Yeah.
So I can also deal with myself quite a lot, and this is so important in order to stay in this little frame at least for a certain amount of time
Yeah.
to get stuff done and to be real in the present, to be intentional there for the other one in this moment with you. So otherwise, if I would look out of the window and check what happens over there, I mean, come on, what kind of conversation that would be?
But I think there's a lot to be said for taking a moment. It doesn't have to be on your phone and scrolling, doom scrolling. There's lots to be said for putting the phone down and looking out the window with a cup of coffee and taking some time just to
Yeah,
run up some, let
definitely.
me calm down. Because it's so easy in business to always be doing, oh, I've got to do this. I've got 10 things to do today. And,
Yeah.
and it could be exhausting. That's a danger that can lead
And
to.
this is part of my work. I mean, this falls then into the part when it comes to mental energy and stress management, because this is all this notification you're talking about is what triggers us all the time. And you just need to think about that between switching between contexts. Yeah. Like back to back meetings, for example, or you get an email and then you get another Slack notification and you're switching all the time. This drains more around about 20%, 20 to 30% of your daily energy, mental energy. So when you keep doing this for a longer period of time, so it means actually when it comes to meetings, for example, neuroscience says you need 23 minutes in order to close one loop and be ready for the next loop or a task, whatever you want to call it. But of course, you can speed that up with certain techniques, methods. And one of that you said already, grab a coffee, sit at the window and just look out and stare just out there. I mean, this will close the loop faster than everything else, even speaking with another person, because you get another new input. But when you just look out and stare just somewhere, you don't have any active input.
And do you think we're in a world full of pressure, aren't we? Everyone's under pressure from economic reasons, competing with people, particularly in a sales environment as well.
Yeah.
You're competing with your own sales figures, your own targets. If you're in a team of people, you're competing with them and all these other things. And I think sometimes people feel like they need to be busy and, they're doing stuff if they're they're writing an email, they're
Yeah.
replying to a DM, they're jumping on a call, they're on a Zoom call, they're going back to doing all these 10 things all the time. And you could be very busy looking, but not that productive.
I mean, yeah, humans like to do things. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not sure how it's about your parents, for example, in case I hope they're living.
they are. Yes.
Okay, but hopefully they're also pensioners already. So, but I guess they all have their hobbies. They have stuff to do on a
Mm.
daily basis. So because we
Yeah.
humans are like this, we want to do something. We cannot sit still. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to, and sometimes our body forces us to. But what you're explaining when it comes to this business, for me, this is something also part of my work, switching from business to productiveness. Because just because you're doing things does not mean you move things, right? So, and this is actually a big part because this is something how we structure actually our day. And for me, for example, to be the most productive, best tool ever, you would like my recommendation?
Yeah.
My calendar. My calendar is my non-negotiable. What's in will be done. What's not in, let's talk about it.
And do you put into your calendar things like taking some time out, going for a
Yes.
walk? Do you schedule
Yes.
everything, do you?
Yes.
Yeah. So you
Yes.
do it.
At 4 o'clock, I will sit up because I'm living here in the mountains of Barcelona with a beautiful view on the city and the sea. And I would
Lovely.
just at 4 o'clock going up there with my book and then reading my book, perhaps taking some videos or stuff like this later. But I will sit there for some time because the sun is shining, there's silence, nature. No, this is part of the calendar.
It's something that I need to be more proactive in doing. Because, for example, I'm
Go
reading
for it.
Daniel
Oh,
Priest's new book. It's great.
nice.
I
Okay.
love it. Highly recommend it. And I keep saying to myself, I'm going to put in my diary, whatever, 4 o'clock or whatever, I'm going to have half an hour reading my book. And then I don't. I might do it at 1 o'clock, that, oh, I've got 10 minutes now. And then the phone rings and damn, I only read for 10 minutes and stuff happens. But when you block out time, it's such a great tip, and I need to do it more, that when you block it out, there aren't any distractions if you make that the case, isn't there? And I think that's a really interesting tip you've given us there.
I mean, I learned this from someone on LinkedIn, actually. I will have a podcast with her tomorrow, but my own
Really?
podcast. Yeah, yeah. And perhaps you know her. She's called the System Girl.
I don't know.
Norfa, and I don't know how to pronounce her name, actually, her last name, Pavage or something like this. I mean, it's kind of a Dutch name. Anyway, she's living in UK as well, I think in London. And I mean, she really taught me that to make my calendar the non-negotiable, and whatever is in there, I will go through. And really, I cannot tell you how much I upset my partner with that, because she doesn't understand my calendar. Only I do. But when she interrupts me in something, I'm in my focus work or doing this and this and this, and I say no. Acceptance is not everyone's cup of tea, right?
Are you totally digital with your calendar, or do you
Oh
have
yeah,
a?
no,
Yeah,
digital only, and these are the only notifications I really react on, because and I have on in order to get informed when something happens.
yeah,
I mean, this is a little golden cage I have built myself, but it gives me also the freedom to get stuff done and have the freedom to do what I want.
yeah. That's very powerful. Now, something I saw a couple of days ago, when I knew we were coming on this call, I thought this is actually quite relevant. Little quote. I just want to read this out to you and see what you think. It's very short.
Okay,
Most people spend their health gaining wealth, and then have to spend their wealth to regain their health.
welcome to modern civilization.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy. Yeah, absolutely. I think I have not been to a doctor's office for 5 years now.
Good.
But you're right. This is exactly what I like to work on, because work with people that they don't have to do that, what you described in this wonderful quote.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is actually, it's quite paradox when you think deeply about it, right? It's paradox that we are doing this to ourselves. We're doing this really to ourselves.
Yeah.
So, and there is no logic in behind.
No.
No, right?
But millions of people do it, right? And that's the
Yes,
thing.
absolutely. And the question is for what?
Yeah.
For what? Because most of those people are not wealthy, but still doing it.
Yeah.
They never reach the kind of wealth they imagine, but still doing it to themselves, probably with a hope behind. I mean, many of us, the basic is hope, right? In order, one day I will reach that, one day I will be there, one day I will have that. And it's all based or boosted by hope.
Yeah.
So,
And the funny thing is as well, it's like having goal, particularly like you say for salespeople hitting their bonus, and getting the bonus. What would I spend that money on? I'll buy a nice thing.
yeah.
And then you get the nice thing and go, this is nice. And then a couple of days later, go, oh, yeah, a watch, for example, this is nice. And a few months later, you go, well, all that watch does is tell the time. It looks nice. But the emotion I felt when I bought it has passed. Okay, I may be quite proud. It may be something I've always wanted, but you realize stuff is just stuff. You can replace it, and it's what goes on here, what memories you're building and how you're feeling and how you're feeling with people around you. I've had nice stuff. I've got nice stuff. I'm a lucky person to live in a nice area, a nice house and all those things. But you realize that I've lived in smaller houses and had less things and less stuff. I was just as happy. I aspired to different things and I wanted more. And then I got a bit more. Then I felt the same again. Then I might have lost it and go, oh, that's a shame. But anyway, I'll make the most of life, But so many of this treadmill that actually the stuff we're trying to achieve is not the right stuff.
No, totally agree. And for everyone who is listening or watching, I have one little quote, which I think is one of the most important ones we have actually. The best ROI you can get is on investments in yourself. This is the only thing that makes sense to me, at least.
Yeah.
And perhaps someone watching your podcast feels perhaps the same or will change mind
And the
towards
beauty of
that.
that, the beauty of that quote is an investment doesn't have to be, I've just hired a $20,000 coach or something.
No.
It could be, investment,
Reading a
it could
book.
be It could
Yeah.
be a holiday, it could be a day out, an evening out, or not
Go for a
expensive.
walk. Go
Go
for a walk in nature. It can
exactly.
be that easy. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why, many people, I think humanity has a little bit unlearned to live.
I agree. So in wrapping up, I've got a few little questions for you, Chris,
Go for
actually.
it.
So here's the first one. What's the one thing you know now that you wish you could tell everyone?
Which I know now that I wish I could tell everyone.
Yeah.
There's so much knowledge. Okay.
You've got to pick one thing.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm going to narrow it down for you. What can you tell people that you know in your circle that you care about?
The time is the only thing we don't get back. Use it wisely.
That's great. I love that. So true, isn't it? We take it for granted every day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah. Okay, next one. What nearly broke you but actually saved you?
What nearly, well, yeah, definitely both of my burnouts. Both of them. I mean, the first one was the heavier one. The second one was also heavy, but they let me realize that there are different things that matter in life than I have ever imagined before. So
Love that. And lastly, what's the next chapter look like for you?
the next chapter, making as much as impact on people as I can. So this is my big goal. Of course, I will do my one-to-one coaching, but I will expand into organizational workshops. On the 24th of April, I have a keynote, or let's say it's a workshop more, on the entrepreneurs meetup here in Barcelona. And just making a bigger impact on people's lives and help them to understand, or let's say to inspire them to see our world from a little bit different perspective.
Love that.
This is
And
what's
if
going
people
on.
want to find out more about you, Chris, where's the best place to go?
Again, please, sorry.
Yeah, if people want to find out more about you, where's the best place to go? A website or
My website, LinkedIn. I will send you all the links later.
all the
So if you
links will
like,
be in the description. I'll put them
yeah,
all
I
in there,
think
don't worry.
LinkedIn and my website are the best places. And
Perfect.
now, actually, the best place would be just contact me and ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed it.
thank you. No, likewise, Stefan.
Thank you so much for your time.
It
And
was a
it's,
pleasure.
I didn't say at the start, but we've kind of known each other without ever speaking for, I don't know how long, quite a while now
I
on
would say
LinkedIn.
it's a year. It's a
It
year.
must be a year or so. And we've always had a little bit of engagement, haven't we?
True.
And that's been great to see. And
Yeah.
it feels like there's a connection there. And so actually getting to speak to you at last has been an absolute pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you too for the invitation. It was a pleasure being here. And no, absolutely likewise. For me, it was like when you reached out, man, yeah, I want to do that. I will really want to do that.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Take care. Talk soon.
You too. Talk soon. Ciao.